Boston is one of the hardest cities in the country to move to, and no one tells you why. If you pick the wrong neighborhood, it can mess up your budget, your daily routine, and your whole experience of the city. I've seen people spend way more than they needed to, get stuck with long, stressful commutes, or feel totally out of place. But if you know what to look for, you can avoid the stress and actually love living here. I'm Kimberlee Meserve, and I've helped hundreds of families move to Boston over the last 10 years, and I've seen every mistake in the book. Now I help people avoid them. Here's the thing. Boston will punish you for using the same plan that worked in other cities. People move here like they moved to Atlanta, Phoenix, or Dallas. They check the rent price, they pick a place that seems okay, and hope that everything works out. That is a $10,000 mistake waiting to happen. Boston's streets were built before cars, even before city planning was a thing. A 6-mile drive can take 45 minutes in traffic, and that affordable apartment in Allston might mean that you're spending 90 minutes a day commuting, over 7 hours every week just sitting in traffic or waiting for trains. And if you drive instead of using the T, well, parking downtown can cost easily $200 to $400 a month. Then there's gas, insurance, the cost of beating up your car in city traffic. I'm gonna show you the 5 critical factors that separate people who thrive in Boston from those who end up frustrated and overpaying. We'll cover the transportation traps that quietly cost you thousands, the seasonal costs that catch almost everyone off guard, the neighborhood personality mismatch that can ruin your experience, the hidden costs that nobody warns you about, and how your social life can either flourish or flop, depending on where you live. By the end, you'll know exactly what to look for and what to avoid. Insights that would normally take months of expensive trial and error to figure out. Here's the biggest mistake I see. Choosing your neighborhood based on rent prices alone. Boston's T system has 4 main subway lines, and they're not all created equal. A lot of people would argue that the Red Line is the most reliable. It connects Cambridge, Somerville, and downtown efficiently. On the southern end, you can go all the way from Quincy and Dorchester. The Green Line runs through neighborhoods like Back Bay, Fenway, Allston, and Brighton. It extends all the way out to Brookline and Newton. And on the other end, you've got Somerville and Medford that's accessible on the Green Line. But it's known for being slow and really inconsistent. The Orange Line runs from Jamaica Plain through downtown to North Station, which is right near the north end, all the way to Medford and Malden. The Blue Line serves East Boston and Revere, plus Logan Airport. The real cost of location decisions is that if you're working in Kendall Square but living off the Green Line, that can easily add 30 to 45 minutes each way to your commute. That's not just time, that's daily stress, missed dinners, and less time for the life that you moved here to live. Your transportation costs monthly are going to include a monthly T-Pass, which is about $90. If you decide to drive, plan for downtown parking being about $200 to $400 a month. And if you're opting the car route, you're gonna need gas and increased insurance for city driving. That's gonna be another $150 to $200 a month. And if you're opting for the T route, you're gonna wanna budget another $100 plus a month for Uber or Lyft when the T isn't running, and that happens. The key here is to look at the MBTA T map and not just Google driving times. A 20-minute car ride might be 45 minutes or more on public transit, especially if you're on the Green Line. And in Boston, you'll be using public transit a lot more than you think. Pro tip is that if you're working in Kendall Square, look along the Red Line. It's gonna save you a headache. You've got options in places like Central Square, Davis Square, or Porter Square. It will save you a lot of time and frustration. Transportation is just one piece of the puzzle. There are 4 other critical factors that will either make or break your Boston experience. If you're serious about getting your Boston move right the first time, I've created a comprehensive relocation guide that covers everything in this video. Plus, we've got neighborhood by neighborhood breakdowns, cost calculators, things you need to look for, and some checklists. This guide will save you hours of research and potentially thousands of dollars in mistakes. Grab it free using the QR code on screen right now. This is exactly the insider information that you need before you start apartment hunting. The second critical factor that catches even more people off guard. Boston winters aren't just cold. They're a complete lifestyle change affecting everything from housing costs to your monthly budget. Heating costs can double your utility bill from October to April. I'm talking about another $100 to $300 a month, depending on your apartment's age and heating system. Things that you want to consider with winter is that older buildings without insulation will crush your heating bill. Ground floor apartments in old brownstones are going to run another 10 to 15 degrees colder. North-facing units get significantly less natural light during the winter. And buildings without good snow removal become accessibility nightmares. Winter parking becomes serious with snow emergency routes, resident-only parking during storms, and we have an infamous space-saving culture. This is where people claim shoveled out spots as their own. They'll put things like furniture, traffic cones, the most random items in their shoveled out spot, and stealing someone else's space can be detrimental. Things you want to budget for winter. Plan on spending an extra $100 to $300 a month on heating costs. You need really good winter clothing and gear. A warm coat that is waterproof and well insulated, plus a good pair of boots is going to make your life so much better. Budget $300 to $500 for those one-time investments. Then if you're driving a lot, you might want to get snow tires on your car, which could be another $200 to $400. And you may potentially have higher food costs, especially if you plan on walking a lot. When it's snowy, when the sidewalks are slushy, you might opt for delivery more than walking, so that could easily cost you another $50 to $100 a month. Neighborhoods that seem walkable in the summer might become isolation zones in the winter. That cute apartment in a trendy area may not seem so appealing when you're trudging through slush for 6 months. Boston's neighborhoods have distinct personalities that go beyond just trendy or affordable. Getting this wrong means you'll never feel at home, no matter how perfect your apartment is. You have the professional districts like Back Bay, Beacon Hill, and Financial District. These cater to working professionals. You often have a higher cost of living, but everything is working around that 9 to 5 schedule. It's great for networking, not so great for late night food options. Then you have the student zones like Allston, Brighton, and parts of Cambridge, those areas near MIT and Harvard. Younger crowd, more affordable, but expect noise, parties, and a more transient community where people move every year. Then there's the family areas, Jamaica Plain, parts of Somerville, Brookline. You have a lot more diversity and age ranges here and family-friendly amenities, but it can feel quiet if you're looking for a nightlife. And then we have the commuter suburbs, Quincy, Newton, Medford. You're getting more space, more parking availability, but you're trading convenience for value. Your social life might require more planning. Here's the key question that most people never ask. What does your typical week actually look like? If you work long hours and you just want to collapse at home, paying extra for a convenient location near work might make sense. If you're social and you want to explore the city's food and bar scene, well, being near a tea stop in a trendy neighborhood might matter more than having a big apartment. Boston has some unique costs that catch newcomers off guard. Let me break down the real numbers. First, broker fees. Unlike most cities, Boston often requires broker fees typically equivalent to 1 month's rent just to secure an apartment. Now, there are some new changes to this recently, but the market has actually responded by increasing rent prices in return. If you do decide to hire a broker to help you on a $3,000 apartment, you're spending another extra $3,000 as an upfront cost. So altogether, you're looking at first, last, security, and broker fee, which is potentially 4 months of rent upfront. On that $3,000 apartment, it's $12,000 just to move in. Then you have resident parking permits, $25 to $40 annually if they're available, and higher car insurance rates due to city driving. In convenient locations, you're going to be paying a premium for grocery costs, and then higher restaurant and entertainment costs compared to most cities. Then we have the infamous September 1st rush. Boston's rental market revolves around September 1st because of the student population. This creates a unique dynamic where availability is limited and prices spike for most of those move-in dates. Moving in an off cycle, meaning anytime other than September 1st, can actually save you hundreds of dollars a month. Yes, you might have less options, but you also have significantly less competition. Then there's grocery costs and daily life. Convenience comes at a premium. That corner store might charge $8 for a gallon of milk, where that same gallon might cost $4 at a suburban grocery store. Make sure you factor this into your neighborhood choice. Being near a proper grocery store versus only having expensive convenient options can impact your monthly budget by $100 to $200. Now, this is the factor that most people ignore until it's too late: how you'll actually meet people and build a social life. Boston can be a tough city to crack socially. We have a reputation for being standoffish, and honestly, there is some truth to it. People here tend to stick to established friend groups from college or work. Some areas naturally lend themselves to meeting people. Areas that have local coffee shops, community events, and walkable social spaces make it a lot easier to meet people. More commuter-heavy neighborhoods where everyone just sleeps and leaves for work, well, it's going to be a lot harder to build a social group. Age and life stage really matter. If you're in your 20s, being in a neighborhood full of families might leave you feeling isolated. If you're looking to settle down, being surrounded by college students gets old really fast. And then certain neighborhoods naturally align with different industries. Tech workers tend to gravitate towards Cambridge and Somerville. Finance and consulting professionals cluster around Back Bay and downtown. And being where your professional peers live can actually accelerate your career networking. Now let's talk about the activity factor. Boston is an incredibly active city, running along Charles River, biking the Minuteman Trail, winter sports. If you're into this lifestyle, proximity to those activities becomes crucial. If you're not, you might feel left out of a big part of Boston culture. Here's the biggest mistake I see most often and how you can flip it into your biggest advantage. Most people try to replicate their previous living situation instead of embracing what makes Boston unique. They want suburban space that they had in Atlanta, the driving convenience that they had in Phoenix, or the nightlife that they had in Miami. But Boston isn't those cities, and trying to force it to be will leave you frustrated and overpaying for things that don't exist here. Instead, lean into Boston's strengths. This is a walking city. Choose walkability over space. This is a neighborhood city. Each area has its own character. Embrace that instead of trying to live generically. This is a seasonal city. Plan for it and embrace the different seasons instead of fighting them. This is a historic city. You're living somewhere with over 400 years of American history, and that is worth something. While everyone else is fighting for the perfect apartment that matches their previous city, you can find incredible value by understanding Boston on its own terms. That small apartment in the North End puts you within walking distance of some of the most incredible Italian food and waterfront views. That place in Cambridge connects you to world-class universities and innovation. And that Somerville spot gives you an amazing combination of city and suburb life. The people who thrive in Boston are the ones who stop trying to make it something else and start appreciating it for what it actually is. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of 90% of the people who move to Boston. You know the 5 critical factors that most people learn the hard way through expensive mistakes and months of frustration. But knowing this information and successfully implementing it are 2 different things. Boston's rental market moves fast, neighborhoods change quickly, and having someone who knows the ins and outs of this process can be the difference between finding your perfect Boston home and settling for whatever you can get. If you're planning a move to Boston, don't go through the process alone. I've guided hundreds of people through successful Boston relocations, whether you're looking to rent or buy. And I want to make sure you avoid the expensive mistakes that we've talked about in this video. Check the description below for my contact information, whether you need neighborhood guidance, market insights, or just want to talk to someone who truly understands Boston to walk you through your different options. I'm here to help. And if you liked this video, make sure to check out this video on your screen about the truth about the Boston housing market. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.